You guys are so wonderful. Are y'all ready for your headliner? Y'all start clapping right now. Give it up for Josh Johnson.
I don't know if y'all saw everything that's happening with Tesla either. That's crazy stuff. Okay, so basically, if you're not aware, Tesla is an electric vehicle that, rewind just a couple of years was not a political statement at all. It was a car you could buy or not buy. It was just a car on the market that had some stock, and the stock would go up and go down and go up and go down. And then, Elon Musk decides to get involved with politics and gives anywhere from like $250 to I think maybe $270 million to Trump's campaign. And then Trump wins and Elon becomes the president. And so Elon becomes the president, and people don't really know how to feel because this particular thing hasn't happened before. There's always been like millionaires and billionaires donating to campaigns and stuff like that, but this is the most like infused a person has been in like what's gonna happen, and it's very clear in what is self-serving when it comes to like Elon's actions and everything. And so then, inauguration day comes and there's all the fanfare of like this new administration is starting. And there are some people who own Teslas already, like they bought theirs in 2022. And they would tell people, hey, I bought mine in 2022. Like, I don't... Just so you know, I got mine in 2022. I didn't know, and I wasn't a part of, and I was trying to get electric vehicle to help the environment. I didn't know it would be. So, just so you know about me. And then Elon's giving a speech, and then he says, my heart goes out to you. And then he does like a full-on Nazi salute, right? And does it again, for clarity. And there is a part of me that genuinely, when someone buys something, especially something expensive, and then something happens with that company, a part of me does feel for them, because there are people who bought their Tesla in 2022. They might have been sitting in their Tesla when they saw Elon do a Nazi salute like... And now you sitting here, you gotta lease this car. I don't know if y'all saw, but Trump released the JFK files, or at least is starting to release the JFK files, and yeah, it's a lot. He said there's like 80,000 pages or something. I think they've released like anywhere from like 2 to 20,000 already, with more to come and stuff. And I don't know about anybody else, but when it comes to JFK and the conspiracies around his death, those were like some of the first moments that you saw, for at least a wide population of Americans, trust in government and its agencies break. A trust that they've never got back since, where like whole government agencies don't have the trust of the people, because up until then, maybe they classified things, maybe they told the public lies or whatever, but they were things that people felt like they could at least get on with life believing. JFK was the first thing for a lot of people that spawned the real like tinfoil hat stuff, what aren't they telling us sort of thing. And so you would see something like this big release of the files, 20,000 with like 60,000 more to come. And it's kind of crazy that everyone sees that and they're like, nah, I'm good. 80,000 pages. I don't think JFK cares that much. That's 80,000 pages. Game of Thrones isn't 80,000 pages. 80,000 pages is insane. What are you doing? You know, it's like the thing is full. It's full. I've read some of it, and it's full of things that are snapshots of the time that JFK was assassinated in, but they aren't things that people were looking for. When people talk about files that they want released, they're talking about things that probably have been destroyed forever, like the some of the autopsy files, some of the coroner's notes, all that stuff like that is not in what's been released. What's been released are the goings on of like Cuba, Mexico City, USSR, and everything. And the one thing that we did find out for sure through the release of the files is that the CIA had a much bigger file and much more knowledge of Lee Harvey Oswald than we previously thought. And they had been tracking his movements and everything. He had been going to these different countries. I'm pretty sure he went to Mexico City for a little bit, and then he went to the USSR. And I don't know if the word is defect, but he basically was trying to leave the U.S., become an expat and join USSR, and even tore up his passport and everything. And the USSR was like, oh, nah. Nah, we good. That's crazy to me. That's someone, you have a CIA file on you and you're trying to move to the USSR, and they are like, you giving off some bad vibes. Like, I don't know what it is, but you creeping everybody out. Like, you stare too much, dog. Like, what are you looking at when you looking over here? It's unsettling. Just take that somewhere else. And so then he came back somehow. Didn't seem like he had a problem coming back, even though he tore up his passport. And then commits the assassination. And then Jack Ruby kills Lee Harvey Oswald. And there were so many people who thought that Jack Ruby's mob ties meant that he was sort of there to close up loose end, that maybe the mob did it. And even now, there are people that say, oh no, the mob did it, Cuba did it, the Soviets did it. I think that when you're going through all these pages and you're reading this stuff that we're learning about how much the CIA and the FBI actually knew and didn't do anything, it doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't do much for me in the way of a revelation. And it's probably just because, because I'm black. Get me? As a black guy, I'm not going to sit here and be like, not the CIA. You mean to tell me the CIA? Next, you're going to be talking about the FBI. Guys, no. No, not at all. Because that's the thing. That's what trips me up too, is all these pages are getting released. There are things that were released during Trump's first administration that were redacted pretty heavily, and then they've been re-released, not redacted, right? Or just one line redacted. So much so that there are people that are actually mad at Trump because they're like, some of that stuff, some of those people are still alive. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And so then, you'll have like one little line that's redacted, and you'll have someone obsess over that specific line because it's not finding the truth for them. It's about keeping the conspiracy going, Because you'll even see, they uploaded it to the archives. You can check it out in the archives right now. They uploaded everything they've uploaded so far, in my opinion, they've done pretty badly. I think they just had a scanner, and they were like, he said today, so... I know it's crooked. He said today. I know. Honestly, I looked at some of the files, some of it, some of the handwriting in some of the notes, whether it's written by a CIA agent or like some politician, some of the notes in there are so bad. Like the handwriting is so bad. I'm like, he did it. Like that's suspicious as hell handwriting. Little thing, little line will be redacted. Oh, that's what they don't want you to see. That's where all the truth is. It's like, look, maybe. I'm not even saying that's not possible. Maybe, but also maybe it's just like an address that makes sure that a person who has nothing to do with this doesn't get implicated. You know, there are all types of reasons to redact something. And it's when people put that much weight on the thing to keep the whole thing going that I'm like, you don't want to know. You want to keep guessing, you know? And don't get me wrong, it's fun to guess. I love guessing. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. Sometimes I'm just guessing. You know? Best way I can describe it is I'm a fight fan, so I watch boxing, I watch MMA and stuff like that, and I watch men's fights, I watch women's fights, and I just kind of follow the fighter and follow their journey and enjoy who I enjoy because I like the person and I like their story, right? And there was this young woman, I do not know if she is from Brazil. I think she is because I'm pretty sure she was speaking Portuguese, and she only speaks Portuguese. She doesn't speak English. So after fights, when someone wins, especially if they don't speak the language, they will do the post-fight interview right there. And they might do another press conference later, but they'll do the post-fight interview. And if they do not speak the language, someone will come out, a translator for the promotion will come out. And in this case, her translator was her coach. So she wins the fight, and it's big. It's the biggest fight that she's won of her career. It puts her in the rankings and everything. And so the announcer walks up, and he's like, "Congratulations on a fantastic fight. Was this win mean to you? It's sort of putting you on the map right now against such a tough opponent." And she speaks for like 8 seconds, and then her coach goes, "Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my fight. I really appreciate it. I worked really hard, and thank you so much for the love." And then she speaks for another 8 seconds, and the coach is like, "Everything that I do, I'm doing for y'all at home, from my town, to show you that no matter what, where you're from, you can make it on the world stage." And then the announcer asks her, what are your future plans? What's next for you? You know, now that you're in the rankings, there's a certain opponent you want to call out. And she speaks even shorter this time for like 6 seconds. And then her coach is like, "Yeah, the next plans are anybody who wants it, all right? I'm taking heads, I'm taking necks. I want your limbs, give me your arms, give me your legs. If I see you on the street, it's already on, you already know. The best thing you could do is drop out of the division right now because I'm coming for all y'all's necks. I'm killing everybody, all right? You're going to dream about me, and then when you wake up, I'm going to be there. That's on God, okay? I'm killing all of y'all. None of y'all can stop me. None of y'all can touch me. What I did to her was a mercy kill. I'm coming to kill y'all for real. I want your bodies, okay? I'm stacking bodies, all right? And the champ, I'm going to beat the champ, and I'm going to beat the brakes off the champ in her hometown. She's going to bleed in front of her people, okay?" And then they exited the octagon. They went ahead and left, and then there was a fighter, because, you know, fighters watch other fighters' fights, and they'll live tweet it, and he tweeted right after that whole thing. She ain't say all that. And I'm not gonna lie, that's what those redacted lines feel like to me sometimes, where I'm just like, yeah, look, maybe the whole truth is in the one sentence, but maybe it's in the 80,000 pages that nobody feels like reading. Because Trump said he was gonna release JFK files, and he slowly released them over time, I guess. And then there were people that were like, well, why don't you release the Epstein files? The Epstein files are what we want. That's what we're actually focused on. Why won't you release the Epstein files? Is it because you actually knew Epstein? Is it because you might be implicated? Is it because you were on the flight logs? Why won't you release the Epstein files? All right. And then he does release the Epstein files. But what he does is he releases a bunch of files that were already released like last year, and then redacts some of them to make them look like they're newly half redacted files. And then people called it online immediately. They were like, no, this isn't it at all. And then even the people who were like showing it off and like, look at this transparency, then they got mad because they were like, you made us look like idiots. We thought you were releasing stuff you hadn't released before. And so then people called again, why aren't you releasing the Epstein files? So if you're Trump, you know, you're probably sitting here, the only thing you can do is release the Epstein files and hope it's 100,000 pages. Who would have known the only distance between people and getting to the truth was reading? You know what I mean? We want to know. We as a people have the right to know. It's 80,000 pages. I'm gonna wait till the movie come out. But what are you gonna do? You know, Elon's the president. We know he's the president because, first of all, he tell everybody to report to him, sending whole government employees emails, tell me everything you did. It's like, isn't some of that classified? Like, it's wild. You stand in the Oval Office talking about what we're doing. It's like, who is we? Got your son in there. That's how you could tell Trump not the president. Got Elon's son rubbing his boogers on him. I've had a lot of jobs and a lot of bosses. And no boss's child has ever rubbed boogers on me. I will quit before I let your child rub boogers on me. Elon is the face of Tesla. And he's also the face of DOGE, this department that's been cutting all these government jobs and gutting a lot of government programs and everything. And I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of people across the political spectrum about DOGE, about their actions, and from the time it started to present, right? So some people are like, oh yeah, it's a little bit much now that we're very much on its side. There are some people that still don't see a problem. There's some people that hated it from the very beginning. But one thing that I have not come across, and I only speak for myself, I'm not talking about I can't speak for the entirety of the internet. One thing I've come across is that there is no one who I have come across that says that there's no waste in the government and that they don't want to get to the bottom of what can be saved or what can be put to better use somewhere else. I think that's what generally everybody would want. If you pay your taxes and then you see where money's being wasted, it's like, oh, we have so many people who need that money in other departments, just move it over to them or give it back to the people or whatever the thing is. I don't think people inherently are upset about the idea that there's waste in the government. I know people that work in the government, they're like, this is a little waste. And so all of it comes down to what you cut and how you do it. That's it, top to bottom. That's the only thing anybody could really have a problem with, what you cut and how you do it, right? And I'll be vulnerable for a second. I'll admit to you right now, I've worked jobs. I've worked jobs where I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody, but like, they really don't need me. Like, as long as they paying, I'll keep showing up, but like... And you end up seeing what happens. Because the thing with whether it's voters or whether it's like rhetoric around how to handle this stuff, there are people who even now genuinely believe, oh, let's get a business person. Let's get someone who's good at business in government so they can run the government as efficiently as they run their business, right? And the problem there is that, like, let's say Amazon, a good example is like, let's say Amazon makes a mistake. And they make a mistake that all of us, everyone here, can acknowledge and see as a mistake. And so as a mistake, their stock drops because they lose some of the faith from their shareholders. Now, we see that drop in the stock, and maybe the mistake they make is they announce that all the cars from now on gonna have 3 wheels. Like, oh, we're gonna save so much money on tires. And we're like, no, you're gonna flip over, okay? And so then you see the stock start to dip because of that lack of confidence. And then for you as a potential investor, even a retail investor, that dip in the stock is an opportunity. You can buy in now. You can buy into that dip, and then when it goes back up, because they realize that 4 is probably best, that you can ride that wave on up. Fair enough. When you crash out a business, when you make mistakes in business, when you run a poor business, you can always start another business. The people who we even look up to as these beacons of industry were all people at some point who had a failed business, right? But the government is not a business, because if you crash out the government, if you make the same mistakes with the government, you don't have a country. And you can't just be like, no, we're just gonna start new America. You know, I used to have like a lemonade stand America, and that one didn't really work out, so I started like a tire shop America, and that still really wasn't it. So then I started this hedge fund America, and now we're cooking. It does not work that way. And you saw what happened. You saw Elon run the government because he's the president. You saw Elon run the government the way he ran his business. When Elon took over Twitter, right? He comes into Twitter and he immediately starts firing everybody because he's like, you're waste, you're redundant, I don't know what you do, I don't know what that is, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. And then a couple days after he took over, remember that brief period where he was like, how do you turn it on? And then someone who still worked there, who he didn't fire, was like, oh, you fired the dude who turned it on. Yeah, you asked me for a list of people to fire. I'm not going to put my name on the list. So And so you see, you end up seeing Elon firing people and then trying to like hire them back real quick and trying to like smooth over the things that he broke that didn't need breaking, you know? And then DOGE ends up working the same way. It ends up swooping in and firing a bunch of people and then trying to hire some of them back real quick, and it's chaos. And Elon is the face of it. He's the face of it because we didn't know who else was working in DOGE. We didn't know who was essentially like hacking into Social Security, who was going around judges' orders, who was breaking things and going to places they weren't supposed to be because we hadn't figured out how this whole thing was going to work. We didn't know. And then we found out that it was children. We found out they leaked the photos of those people that were high up in DOGE that were getting into Social Security and the IRS and everything. And we were like, what? Fresh out of school, I saw one kid's picture who was like high up in DOGE doing all the breaking in and stuff. And I was like, Peter Parker? I cannot believe that Spider-Man gonna cut off my grandma's Social Security. So I don't think it was anyone saying like there's no waste, but it's what you cut and how you cut it. You know, I think people would have appreciated like an actual audit. They said that they did one, but usually when you do an audit and you really account for the waste and you really account for what jobs you do and don't need, you don't have to hire anybody back, you know? the amount of people that they fired and then tried to immediately rehire shows that they're not actually being as careful as they should be with the process. Because I'll tell you right now, everyone that has ever fired me stood firm in their decision. I've never been fired and then somebody ran out after me. Hold on. That's my bad. I was wild. I was trying to look good in front of the other employees. You come on back in here. That has never happened. Anyone who has ever fired me has never called me again. But then Elon is the face of them. People don't know what to do. They don't know what to do to express their anger and their disappointment, their frustration about this unelected person gutting these government programs. And you see where people, it's not just like a one-sided thing. It's not just like a liberal thing. You know, there are people who are like, I voted for Trump. I believe in what DOGE is doing, but then I'm told that I'm being cut because of bad performance, even though I'm holding right here a performance review for like a month before the election where they said that I was doing great, you know? And so then people across the political spectrum are going to the town halls and they're complaining to the representatives, and the representatives, they're not really hearing them out. They're not really backing them up. So there's even more frustration, and it's bubbling up, and it's bubbling up. And he's the face of two things. He's the face of DOGE, and he's the face of Tesla. And so then people go to the Tesla dealership, and he's not there. But people go to the Tesla dealership and they start protesting at the Tesla dealership, and then the stock starts tanking because there are people that are like, being attached to this right now is not a good look, you know? And then people start vandalizing Tesla, start putting swastikas on the Teslas and stuff like that. And then there are people who, you know, bought a Tesla in 2022. They're like, guys, I didn't know. I had no idea. And almost immediately, it felt like almost immediately Trump came to his defense, right? Trump invited Elon to the White House. I mean, he already got an office there because it's his White House. He's the boss. He's the president. But Trump told Elon, hey, bring a bunch of Teslas, park them out front of the White House. We'll do a dealership commercial. This man got in the Tesla. Trump got in the Tesla, was like, everything's computer. Which is not wrong. It's not wrong. I remember my first Tesla experience. You know, I didn't ride in a Tesla for a long time. I heard about it as a car, but I didn't get to be in one, and I don't drive, so I didn't try to drive one or anything. And my first Tesla that I ever got in was an Uber. And so when I walked up, I didn't know about the door. I didn't know the door be all smooth like that. So this is me. Look, I'm admitting for a second. I'm being vulnerable here. I'm admitting for a second that this is me. This is my bad. I was doing too much in my head. I was doing too much, all right? Know that I know that before I even admit this to you. I was doing too much, right? But when I walked up to the Tesla, I thought my driver sucked the door in because I was black. And I was standing there like, never in all my days have I seen this type of racism. I was fierce. It was all smooth and everything. And so finally, driver noticed I'm not getting in the car, so he rolled down the window. I lean over all indignant like... And then he started explaining how to open it. I was like, what do you mean you gotta push to pull? That doesn't even make sense. And then I get it Okay. Got in the Uber, we took off. And this is the thing with the gig economy jobs, right? Is that, how do I put this? There's a social contract we have not written yet on like how much this is like your property versus my time versus our experience, right? And so when I get in an Uber, I'm very respectful of the fact that this person's car. This isn't my car, right? I'm not renting it so it can be my car for a little while. And we're sharing this time together, but it is my time that I'm paying for, so that's what makes me the customer, you know? So I try to not make any waves. I get in an Uber and I'm just like whatever they need to do. Sometimes there are people who start driving Uber very, very early, so they're tired. And so they got to blast themselves with cold air. They have to have their window down. And I'm like, I'd rather that than us die warm, you know? So I don't say anything. I'm like, I'll just be uncomfortable on the way to the airport because that's what's keeping this man awake. And this is the person that showed up to drive me, right? So I almost never say anything. It's a very big deal for me to even try to say anything. And I go ahead and I do it, though. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm not like, I usually don't do this or anything. But, you know, I leaned over to him and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. But could you please, like, touch the wheel? Like... No, I know it's autopilot. I know it's autopilot. You put it in and everything. I just don't know what I'm paying for if we going. Like if we, I'm not telling you how to drive. I'm telling you to drive. Like it would be nice if you did drive. Like, just put a finger up. Make me believe. Just put a finger. And so you see all of these attacks on Tesla increasing, and the stock price dips and dips and dips. And it goes up a little bit. Every once in a while it goes up because there's some people who don't care about any of this at all, and they see it as an opportunity to buy low. And so it'll go up a little bit, maybe like 3-4% here, and then it drops a little bit more, and it's down from its high by a lot. And you've even seen people like in the Trump administration come out and say, hey, if you vandalize a Tesla, we're treating it as domestic terrorism. We're coming for you if you touch a Tesla, right? And it's just baffling because everything that Trump is doing for Elon and everything that his administration is doing for Tesla is exactly what they were supposed to do for the voters. You know what I mean? Like Trump saw that his boy was having a little dip, was like a little bit more broke than he was the day before. He was like, let me help you out. You know what I mean? That felt like a campaign promise that I thought he made to everybody, but apparently he was just talking to 3 people. And even going after people who vandalize a Tesla as domestic terrorism. Like, when do we ever talk about domestic terrorism? You know how much domestic terrorism we have? It's a lot. And then you see Elon go on the news, and genuinely he seems like really upset, like genuinely hurt. And I think it's because, you know, look, he's still the richest man in the world, but he used to be the richest man in the world by a larger margin. Like, he has lost billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? And you know, he's so affected by it. And I think that maybe he's so affected by it because when these things are such a part of your life, they do become your identity. Maybe being the richest man in the world, maybe being seen as this, like, you know, this business guru, this scientific mind, all that stuff crumbles away when the people are not with you, when the people can't stand you, when you've angered them, when they don't want to have anything to do with you, you know. And he sees the destruction, he sees the people turning on him, and he seems genuinely upset. And I don't think his feelings are hurt because some people are mad at him. He's never going to meet these people. I think that when you attach so much of your self-worth to this money and this status, this influence and this power, that even the prospect of losing it can rattle you deep down, right? To your core as a person. And it looks like he's about to cry on the news when he's talking about, I don't know what I did to deserve this. It's like... And look, I'm glad he said that to a camera by himself and not like to a veteran's face. Like you know what I mean? Like he didn't really get that. You know, the dude on Fox was like, you've done nothing to deserve this. You're a true patriot, whatever he said. And, you know, I was sitting here watching Elon get genuinely sad. And I was like, oh. My heart goes out to you.
Milwaukee, make some noise for your headliner, Josh Johnson.
Been very excited. I've been very, very excited. Been highly anticipating a bout that's coming up. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Some of you may have not known that this was going to happen, but in case you didn't, Mike Tyson is going to box Jake Paul, and I'm excited more for the spectacle than the actual fight. I don't know what's going to happen in the fight exactly, but it is one of the wildest encounters of two people punching each other that you could have ever imagined. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, a star, a bona fide star globally of the 80s, fighting one of the most popular influencers that the modern era has to offer. And it just feels like somehow the 80s are fighting the 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul feels like Sylvester Stallone versus Liam Hemsworth. It's like, you're just kind of like, what? How? How are they even close enough in age to have anything to argue about? This is crazy. If you don't know Mike Tyson, I know that some people are too young to have like really watched him fight. I'm too young to have like remembered those fights live. Some of them I wasn't even around for, but I watched the tape and it's devastating. Mike Tyson is one of the most bona fide terrifying people. You know what I mean? Some of the things that Mike Tyson would just say, I'd be like, oh, to even think it, you must be willing to do it. Do you know, like there was a press conference one time where Mike Tyson was sitting there and he's like, this thing, I don't think these guys understand. I'm not here to just box. I'm not here to fight or anything. I'm trying to take their health. Sir. The question was, what has your preparation been for this match? Mike Tyson he's like an embodiment of like everything like fierce, violent, and dangerous in one person that also very much loves birds. And what's wild about Mike Tyson is that from the time that he was young, right, to present, he had taken a genuine, not only interest, but maybe an obsession with the way that the world works, understanding oneself and understanding the world and how who you are applies to the world, right? So he said some of the most fascinating things around Alexander the Great, around conquerors, around kings, around how to win a mental battle as well as like a physical one, how war works. He has such an understanding of the world. And then he says other things. Other things that are so scary that you're like, sir, just shoot me. Don't want to have to deal with this, you know? And a lot of it bleeds together because it's not my time, right? I'm not like from that era, but you watch these old compilations of press conferences and interviews and post-fight interviews with Mike Tyson. I was scared for the reporter. Because you have a man who's been training to basically kill a man with his fists, even if it took him 12 rounds, and it took half of one. So by the time you interview him, he's still got a lot of energy. There was one time they were trying to interview Mike Tyson after a fight. They're in the ring with him. They're putting the mic in his face and everything. And he's so amped and he's talking. He's like, y'all don't understand. Like I'm from Sonny Liston's cloth. I'm the most fierce. And he starts describing not just who he is as a boxer, but his training and everything. And then at the end of it, he goes, I don't know, man. What? And I think if I had been the reporter, I'd also be like, nothing. I didn't say anything. Don't worry about me. Mike Tyson press conference was a master class in psychological warfare. He would say things that had you thinking like, oh man, this dude's like out of his mind. Or this dude really wants to kill me and I don't know him. That's gotta be tough as a fighter, to sign up for a fight. And you know we both fight. But one of us loves fighting. And we both like it, that's why we do it, and we're both good at it, that's why we do it. But one of us is so excited to hit, they don't care if they get hit. It's a very different person. Do you know what I mean? Even when you're mad, even when you're angry, and you're like, that's it, let's fight. You're trying to get the aggression out, and you want to hurt the other person. And yeah, maybe you're willing to take a few punches, but you aren't in a fight loving getting hit just so you can give a hit. It takes a different type of person, and Mike is a different type of person. You know? When you look at where Mike Tyson comes from, it's astounding that he made it to where he was. You know, Mike Tyson comes from Brooklyn, was in Bed-Stuy, and then at a young age moves to Bronzeville, and it is devastating because it's not the Brooklyn that you know now. You know what I mean? Like there were no cupcake shops. It was Brooklyn in a way that was, let's say the property would be cheap, all right? Like if you were trying to buy, all right? Devastating conditions. And he talks about how there was just, you couldn't even go to the bathroom inside sometimes where they were staying and stuff. And all that stuff can make a hardened person. Because he didn't just have to live in certain conditions. He had conditions waiting for him when he got outside. He talked about it. He had to fight. He had to fight all the time. He had to be ready to be tough all the time. People will test you all the time, right? He talked about his first fight. So like I said, Mike Tyson loves birds. It's truly one of the sweetest things about him. It's one of the things that like gives you a glimpse into the humanity of a person that's only known as being this fierce beast, right? Loving these birds, being gentle with them, caring for them, spending time with them, you know? Really taking care of them. And when he was a kid, there was a kid who took his bird. And he was like, give it back, give it back, give it back. And give it back, I think give it back genuinely in the way that a kid is asking you earnestly from the bottom of their heart. No, 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 please, 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 please give it back, right? And that kid killed that bird in front of him. And then Mike Tyson, I'm assuming, killed that kid because he at least let him remember what would happen. And Mike would get into trouble, and it's easy to say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, right? All those things can be true. Obviously, you shouldn't be robbing people, you shouldn't be selling stuff, you shouldn't be out here with these people who are on a bad path and everything. But when you have what looks like no other option from those things, how can you expect someone to just know? You drive down the path that's been paved, you know? And so he ends up in like detention centers and stuff like that. And at one point, Mike Tyson meets Customato. Customato sees him, and immediately he knows. He knows this kid is special and he's different. And not only just because he's built different, not only because he's big for his age, there's just something about him. And he gets the opportunity to like box a little bit. He goes to the gym, he's hitting bags and stuff, spars a little bit. And Customato sees in something in him. And after sparring, you know, as the story goes, they ask this kid who's just sparred with some grown men, how old are you? And then Mike goes, I'm 13. And then these grown men look at each other and go, this nigga at least 30. Like, there's no way. You better put a 0 behind that 13. That's, what? 13. And Customato, to my knowledge, actually adopts Mike Tyson. Takes him into his home, right? Not just to train him, but to care for him, to love him. You know? Because all this energy, all this fierce potential can really go somewhere if you nurture it, right? And then under Customato's leadership, Mike Tyson does become as fierce of a person as Customato thinks he can be in the ring. And Cus believed in him before he believed in himself. I think that's why their friendship, that mentorship is like, when you see it, there's something special about it. Because anyone who sees anything in any of us and pulls it out of you, right, just with their belief, that's a very special thing. And the only people that wish Customato hadn't done what he did are probably Mike's opponents. Because Mike would have fights that were so damn fast. You can see it even in the video, even in some of the amateur fights that were actually on video. You can see in the opponent where they were like, does he have a hammer? What is he doing? That really hurt. No. And then Mike gets older. Mike becomes world champion. Youngest world champion, right? In there with a boxer with real experience, who's also a special fighter, right? But Mike hits him in a way that maybe he's never been hit before. And if you go back and you watch the video of this knockout, I shouldn't laugh, but Mike didn't just knock this dude out. Like, he didn't knock him out cold, right? This dude gets knocked down again, and he's trying to get up, and you can tell that his body is like, dog, we done. No. You know, like when you're in a bar fighting, your buddies hold you back. That was that guy's whole body. Like, you can even hear the announcer be like, oh, he's fighting to get up, but his body won't let him, because his body is like parts of him that didn't get hit. This dude got hit in his head and the chin, and even his feet and his knees and his hips were like, if you ever want to speak to us again, don't stack us up on top of each other right now. You need to sit down. And then Mike Tyson becomes world champion. He becomes everything that Customato thought he could be. He becomes everything that he knew he was, right? It's a beautiful moment. And then it's important when you think of Mike Tyson to understand that Mike Tyson is America. A lot of Mike Tyson's story is how America works, right? There are parts of this country that if you travel to, you'll think you're in another country for how poor they are, how broken, the conditions that people are living in. You know, it looks like the developing world in some parts of America, and we don't like to talk about it. We especially don't like to take care of those people because it means we have to really look at ourselves to do it. But there are people that come out of those conditions that build themselves up into something that no one else could have imagined based on where they started, right? Mike Tyson is just like America. Mike Tyson is fierce, fearsome, you know, incredibly violent. People in other countries look at America the way that we look at Mike Tyson. Genuinely, if you travel, and I mean really travel, I'm not talking about just go to the tourist spots and the places that are popular to go. If you really travel and you know world history and you go to a place and you ask them about America, right? A country that we've attacked before, you know? They look at us like we have a tattoo on our face. Mike Tyson builds himself up, and he doesn't just get the world championship. He has some very, very impressive fights where you can average his whole fight time out to like maybe a round and a half. He's beating people so fast it's actually upsetting the crowd. I know people who paid a lot of money to go to a Mike Tyson fight and went in the bathroom at the wrong time. Sit there the whole fight card holding it, and then you're like, oh, he's only walking out, I got a second. And then from the bathroom you hear, oh. You're like, oh no. I mean, then Mike goes down a downward spiral. He loses Customato. He loses this person that was a mentor, that was a friend, you know? And he tries to find his way, but he's still very young. People forget how young he was when he was Mike, when he was Iron Mike, and he was fearless and he was undefeated, and starts, you know, getting lost in it. And he'll tell you that. He's talked about that. He got lost, right? Goes to jail at one point. Like, this dude is on a dark path, you know? And even, I mean, this is attributed to Mike Tyson. I don't know if he actually said it like this, but he was like, I was a baby. And you gave me millions of dollars to punch people in the face. And you didn't think this was going to go off the rails somehow? Like, you didn't think that this was a bad idea, maybe? No. That's who's fighting. This guy who's relentless, you know? So much fear. Imagine you're in the ring with Mike Tyson and he won't stop staring. Just the face-off, just watching the face-off, you would see it in his eyes. He's like, I would very much like to hurt someone today. And legally, it's you. And he was fast, and his movements were jerky, but they were quick, and they clearly hurt, because some very big men did not get up. He would hit people so hard sometimes that you'd be like, I think that guy's dead. And then he'd twitch, you'd be like, he's all right. That's who's fighting. And then you have Jake Paul. One thing people need to understand about Jake Paul, if you don't, he's very much, we are in Jake Paul's time. Whether we like it when I say that or not, he's having his Mike Tyson moments right now. World famous, around the world. People tune in from around the world. They watch his fights, they watch his YouTube videos. This dude is a true bona fide star, right? And we can argue about if he's as popular as Mike was back then and why the internet is different, but he is very popular. You know, and he loved boxing. He feels like boxing saved him. That's something similar that he has with Mike, because this kid, he got a camera from his dad, him and his brother, when they were young, and it was to film themselves while they were doing football so that they could improve, right? Which I don't know how that works. I don't play enough football. Like if I did that and tried to tape myself playing football to improve, I think I would just be like, this is where I got hit. And this is when I hit the ground. I think that's all I did. I don't know if, was that right? Is that how you do it? And so him and his brother start making videos, like little YouTube videos, whatever. They're putting them online. They're getting some looks every now and again. But then Vine came out. And if you don't know what Vine is like TikTok granddaddy. And they start making Vines and they get very popular almost overnight. They are huge on Vine. Everybody thinks they're funny and they love to follow them. They want to know what they're doing next. They're getting all this money, endorsements, everything. At one point, Jake Paul is on the Disney Channel. I don't really know what he was doing, but it was quick. And then they start posting on YouTube and they start getting millions of subscribers on YouTube. These kids are bona fide popular and they understand something that maybe the rest of us just don't. And that's why they are where they are. They understand internet culture. They understand marketing and business. They understand the way that the world is turning, right? And it's the age of the influencer, right? And a lot of people want to be influencers. Some people don't want to be. You can accidentally become famous. And that's a terrifying thing. You become famous in a way that you really didn't mean to, you know? You're just living your life. But somebody puts a cell phone on you, or you don't know you're in someone's shot, and you trip weird, and you go, and now you're, like that's who you are as a guy. And then people see you in the world, and they're like, hey, we love you, dude, we love, that's our favorite. Man, keep killing it, dog, keep killing it. But before you know it, just one thing, just one meme, just one moment catapults you to this level of fame that no person could be prepared for. Whether you're Mike Tyson in the 80s or you're Jake Paul now, people don't understand that like fame that you weren't even trying to get can mess with your mind, right? And so Jake Paul was on a dark path as well. He was probably headed for a bad place, and then he started boxing and he loved it. And boxing to a degree saved him. And so he's out here boxing, you know? And at first he starts fighting like YouTubers, like fellow YouTubers, because that garners attention. Because sometimes you see two people who don't like each other and you're like, man, it would be kind of funny if they fought. And this is the thing about us. We as people love a fight. Whether we like to admit that about ourselves or not, we love a fight. I've been walking down the street and seeing kids on the park sinking threes from far away, Steph Curry level, right? And I'm like impressed, and I maybe watch him do two more, and then I'm like, he's getting it in. He'll be fine. But if I see a fight in the park, I stop. Because I'm wondering, you know? But no, we're in this age where I think people sometimes want to be famous more than they want to do something. You know, and that's where you get some of these things, some of these imitators of Jake Paul, of Logan Paul and stuff like that. There was a kid whose story, like, it blew my mind. Basically, there was this kid doing these pranks, and they were like barely pranks. It was just being obnoxious. It was just being like horrible to people and messing with people to try to get a reaction out of them. Because not only are we the new like influencers, everyone, all of us, all the time, it could happen to any one of us, but because of how people become influencers, because of how people get popular, they are our paparazzi now. You're just living your life, but now you're in someone's video and they're trying to make you act a certain way. That's not what we signed up for, you know? You should at least be rich to have that happen. And so this kid was making this video and he was messing with this guy in the mall and he was following him around and he was just like not just being annoying, he seemed like to also be intimidating him a little bit, and he was really following him, trying to get him to answer some question or something. And finally this little guy, he's like a very small guy, and he did not look well, right? He finally goes, stop, and then he pulled out a gun and shot him. And I am praying that's not him. This dude pulls out a gun and he's shot him. There's this loud bang in the mall and people start screaming and running and everything. But from the vantage point of like the person who, because he posted it himself, the kid, the influencer who was making the prank video, posts the thing and he's coming at him and the guy's like, stop, bang. And then as soon as you hear the bang, this kid, the prankster goes, oh! And to be fair, there's no cool way to get shot. But he goes, "Dow!" and he hits the ground, and that guy walks off, and obviously he gets arrested and everything. They explain the situation. I believe he got released. And then this kid goes to the hospital. He's fine, right? He's fine. He got shot in the side, and he's fine. But when they ask him about it, they ask him how he feels about the fact that this thing happened. Like, is it change how he's going to make content? He got more followers from it happening because it got on the news and people wanted to see the kid that got shot and they wanted to see the other stuff that he did. So he did get more popular, right? And they wondered how he felt towards the gunman. This guy shot you and you were being annoying, but did you deserve to be shot, right? And then this kid sitting in his hospital bed, his dad, by the way, is furious. His dad is like, there are people saying my son deserved to be shot. My son's just a kid, right? And this kid sitting in his hospital bed, when he's asked these questions, goes, it is what it is, dog. Like, which I can't tell, is that a good attitude about it? But it lets me know it's not just a few people. It's not just a few individuals. We're in an age, and it's an age of if I can be popular, maybe I can be safe, maybe I can be liked, maybe I can be something, whatever it is. But it's apparently worth being shot over for some people. And make no mistake, Jake Paul is America. I don't know how it feels to have me say that, but Jake Paul is America. A lot of what America embodies is what Jake Paul is, right? America is business, usually business first. We can worry about being a country later. It's business, and it's fame, and it's money, and it's influence, right? You go to some of these backdoor meetings that some of these world leaders have when America convinces them to do something. We don't know how they do it. Maybe it's with money. Maybe it's with other things. Maybe they're like, hey, look, we'd hate for something to happen to your whole island. Influence. See what I mean? And so now you have these two boxing, and people don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there are people that want Mike Tyson to hurt Jake Paul very badly. And then there are people who just want to see a fight. They just want to see what it would look like. You know what I mean? They just want to see what it would look like if, like, that guy from The Breakfast Club fought Timothy Chalamet. Like, just... They just want to see two generations go at it. You know? Because let's be honest, it's an odd fight. You know, Jake Paul has fought former MMA fighters. He's fought former NBA players. He's fought YouTubers. He's fought one established boxer, maybe two pro boxers that I know of, right? Because I don't know his entire record. But he said that the thing that made him do this, the thing that made him push for it and create it, was he did some ayahuasca. And when he did the ayahuasca, he said he saw himself fighting Mike Tyson. And if I'm being honest, taking ayahuasca and seeing yourself fighting Mike Tyson sounds like something Mike Tyson would say doing ayahuasca. Like,
I could more clearly see Mike Tyson doing ayahuasca, and he's like, I saw myself fighting Jake Paul. I don't know, man. I had to think to myself, you know, if I did ayahuasca and I saw myself fighting Mike Tyson, I'd probably have to sit back and be like, maybe heroin's the answer. Like, I don't know. This ayahuasca is not it for me. No, thank you. You know? And so, as soon as he had that vision, though, he put it into motion. And that's the marketer, that's the businessman, that's the promoter in Jake Paul. He saw this thing and he had to create it. That's also America, by the way. You go to other countries and you're like, oh, I have this big dream of doing this thing. A lot of countries are set in their ways, right? America is properly crazy. We'll let you do anything, fundamentally. And so now they have a press conference. They're together, and Jake Paul's very good at being the heel, you know what I mean? But it's hard to be the heel when you're fighting Mike Tyson. Like, people might be booing you, but he's saying truly upsetting things. Mike Tyson was in a press conference one time, and he was like, look, all I want is for his kids to be watching us fight and see me beat them so bad that they're like, Daddy, no. Hearing Mike Tyson quotes out loud genuinely makes me want to learn Tai Chi. So in case I ever come across Mike Tyson, I can look like I'm about to fight him while also backing up. Like, and some people think that the fight's just a spectacle. Some people think it's a real fight. There are kids who think Jake Paul's got to beat Mike Tyson, right? Jake Paul's a great boxer. Let's see it happen. I'm so excited to see Jake Paul whoop this guy. There really are both sides to this thing. And it's going to be on Netflix, which who knows if that's a mistake. Do you know what I mean? Who knows if they fight and then one of them dies and we're just sitting there like, so... are we accomplices, or just sitting there, stoic, don't know what to do next, and Netflix is like, are you still watching? Not now, man. You know? And it's a gamble as well. It's a gamble. Is one of the biggest gambles we've seen, because Mike Tyson is, to some degree, putting his legacy on the line. He's one of the most fierce fighters that's ever lived. People talk about Ali and Tyson. When they talk about boxing, they don't really know anything about it. You know those names. And then Jake Paul's putting something on the line, too. It's like, I had this idea, I had this dream of fighting Mike Tyson, and maybe I'm just out of my mind and I'm going to be hurt very badly. And Netflix is putting something on the line, because it's like, will people watch? Will someone die? It's a genuine gamble. And if America is anything, it's a proper gamble. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we do. I don't know. I admire an aspect of what Jake is doing, because Jake loves boxing. And no one will probably ever give him credit for it, but he is revitalizing a part of boxing. People talk about boxing a little bit more now because of the popularity that he brings in, the new kids that he brings in, and he's putting himself on the line because he loves boxing. And that, to me, is wild. Like, I love hip-hop, but I wouldn't try to battle Kendrick Lamar. Like...
Please give it up, Detroit, for Josh Johnson!
there was one day I went to visit my grandma, and there's like a big old like living room type area where people be watching TV or just chatting or reading a book or whatever. And there was, do y'all remember the commercials for like a Rascal? If you don't know what a Rascal was, it was some direct-to-consumer marketing that was going on TV where you were old and you were in your little chair, but they made it feel like a motorcycle. They made you feel like you could really hit that throttle on them, right? And then you could go off-road with the Rascal, too. Like, you could just be going over tree trunks and stuff like that without tipping and stuff. And so there was a guy who looked like he had a new Rascal, right? And it wasn't going fast for us. Like, if you could walk, it wasn't going fast. But if you were in a wheelchair and you hit that throttle, you zooming, right? And so you could tell he couldn't really handle it because his head was back while he was. So my man's head was like all the way back. Like, he really couldn't look up, and which is crazy because I swear he was going this fast. Like, but my man is like, right? It was incredible. My man is just, you know, and I'm sure in his mind, you know, because everything slows down a little bit as you get older, and now you go in walking speed again, and you haven't been walking for a while. So now all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is what I did when I was back in my 80s, right? So, because I don't know how old he was, but he was dusty, right? He was, you know what I'm talking about. Don't do that. I'm not being mean. It's just, at a certain age, no matter who you are, at a certain age, once you hit those like 90, like once you get up in the 9 in the front of the number for your age, there's just a level of like, there's a level of ashy that is time. Y'all want to act like y'all know what I'm talking about, but y'all know that sometimes people get flaky. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Anyway, so my man is zooming, right? He like, and then on the other side of this corner leading to the living room is this other guy who's like in a proper wheelchair, but it has like some little modifications. So I guess it's not a traditional wheelchair. Like, he's not fully pushing it himself, but it looks like it has like some little levers on it. I don't know what it was, but it felt like a knockoff Rascal. Like, it felt, you know what I mean? Like, it felt like somebody sold him some damaged goods, where they were like, no, it's a Rascal. He's like, I don't see the throttle anywhere. Just keep looking. It's a Rascal. And so he's going like really, really slow. And as they're getting closer, you know those math problems? You know those math problems where, like, if a train, you know what I'm talking about, right? If a train leaves Detroit at 5, going 60 miles per hour, and then a train leaves Louisiana going 80 miles per hour at 7 o'clock, when will they crash? Because then even in school, they'd be like, when will it crash? I'd be like, this is a dark. Why can't it just be a delivery or something? You wrote the textbook and you put in crash. Now I gotta figure out when everybody's gonna die. I'm not even allowed to warn them in this scenario. But anyway, basically, this dude has like, he's kind of turning the wheel, but it looks like it's assisted somehow, and the other guy's zooming, and then I'm standing at the corner, and I'm like, who do I try to warn? Because in my head, for a second, I was like, they're going to miss each other because this guy's going way too fast. And then I realized that he going fast for him. He going walking speed for us, and then this other guy is going nowhere. Very, very slow, right? And then, I'm not proud of it, but it took me so long to make a decision because I was bad at math. It took me so long to make a decision that they did collide. When they both got past the corner, the fast one hit the slow one, and he tipped. And he didn't tip. This is the worst part, actually. So he didn't tip, like his chair didn't tip, right? He just tipped from getting hit. And then he fell the rest of the way out. But But while he was falling, he was hanging on. Like while he was falling, he was like, no! So he's screaming no, like he don't want to fall. And to be honest, I had time to get to him, but I was so shocked that this was happening. And so then he kept falling to the point where one foot was on the ground now. I was like, ooh, you should stand. You could stand up. There's still time to stand up. But then he had tipped like booty over knee, and then he was hanging, and then the chair was tipping to a point where I was like, the chair gonna fall on you. And then he just sort of let himself spill, but his butt was already on the ground, but he was still screaming like he was in the air. And then he finally let go of the little handle that was at the front, and then he laid back, and I was like, I probably could have done something. Because to be fair, it was going to happen whether I was watching or not. That moment had nothing to do with me. I was just a witness. And that's how I felt about the debate last night. Because whether you watched it or you didn't watch it, okay, I watched the whole thing. I watched it top to bottom, and okay. Everything happened that we, figured might happen. But this is the thing that I guess I can't get over. It happened so quickly. We were worried that like maybe an hour in, Biden might have like a senior moment or something. But he said, no, I'm gonna start slow, and I'm gonna ratchet up. Because early, maybe second question, maybe first question, I can't remember. But he said something. And he was kind of trying to get through it. And when he was trying to get through it, he started looking down while he was trying to get through it. And then he stopped talking. I don't know if there's been a deeper silence in my life than when that man stopped talking. It was still his turn. He had stopped saying anything. And while he was not talking, I was talking. Like while he had been like, right? Like once he got here, when he was looking down, I was like, fall! Just fall! You'll clear this whole thing out if you fall right now. This man has had the nerve to fall every day. Except that day there. I'm yelling at the screen, fall! If that man had fallen, we'd be having a different conversation right now, right? If he had fallen, they would have scooped him up on a stretcher. It would have been like, look, the president had a great answer ready, but gravity is a Republican, so the odds were stacked against him. He's brave for even showing up against that red Republican elephant ass gravity. Oh, it was insane. I felt like I was going crazy because this is the thing that's infuriating, right? And I'll probably come back to it in a second, but the thing that I cannot get out of my head is that we all knew, and everything that happened is what we said would happen, and now pundits are talking to us on TV, on like legacy media, talking about what happened the way that we talk about what was gonna happen before it happened, and they want to convince us that they're worth watching. You ever tell somebody a story and then time passes and then one day they try to tell you your story like you didn't tell them the story And you look at him like, either you crazy or you think I'm crazy because I told you that. You're not bringing me any new information. That's what it feels like. It's like after the debate, I watched the after debate, and they were like, he is older. These are the same people, by the way, who have been like, no, we have to chase him around the White House. We can barely keep up with them. And I knew they were lying then. Because that's the thing. It's like he did so poorly. It fully distracts from the fact that Trump didn't do well either. But you know how? Okay. One time, I was with some friends, and we were headed to a party. We get there, and there's like two more friends that we're waiting on, and one of them is supposed to bring all the drinks, right? And one of my friends had already poured out a beer, was drinking his beer, and when we were stepping outside, because it was like it was like an outdoor in front of the house sort of event. We're all on the lawn and everything. We see one of our friends who was supposed to bring the drinks, right, crash right into a light pole, right? And right when he crashed into the light pole, we all screamed, and a couple people ran over there. And then my friend who had poured the beer was like, "Oh my God, I dropped my drink," right? On its own, not good. In reference to something much bigger happening, nobody ended up caring, right? And that's how it felt. Like, it's insane. Like we are not crazy. We're not crazy. They're crazy. You know what I mean? We're not crazy. They're crazy. We said it already. They're crazy. They just don't listen. They don't listen. How do you not listen when it's everybody saying it? You know? Like, there was one time in particular where Biden was struggling to say something. And even Trump, even Donald Jail Trump, looked at Biden, and you could see it on his face. He was like, "Is this motherfucker all right?" And you can tell because I'd never seen this on Trump's face ever. Trump had an actual eyebrow arc of concern. I've never seen him have that ever. He's never looked as phased to me as when he was looking at Biden next to him going, is it? Like, it wasn't an act. Trump was genuinely wincing, which concerns me because he was the closest to him, which means something worse was going on in person close to him than what we even saw. We think we up close because the camera's zooming in. No, Trump hears him fighting to breathe. It felt so terrible. It felt like when you're a kid, when you're a little kid, and you get into it with another little kid, and they're bullying you, right? And you tell that kid, "My dad could be your dad." And then maybe you go home, and maybe you go home with a shiner, maybe you go home with some cuts and bruises, and your dad asks what happened. And you're like, "Hey, this kid's been bullying me," right? And I tried to tell my teacher, and she didn't do anything. And so your dad's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go to school tomorrow. We're gonna sort this out." And maybe he goes to pick you up and settle things up with the teacher right when the bully's dad comes and tries to settle things up with the teacher too, because his kid told him a different story, you know? His kid told him, hey, this kid's school is being a bitch, so I had to hold him down and everything. And the teacher is like, look, everyone's here, maybe we can mediate. And so they do that thing that schools do where they don't really know how to help. You know what I mean? They're just like, if you could stop, that'd be great. Or not, I didn't see it, so whatever. But don't fight, because we have a zero tolerance policy on violence. So even if you fight back, you're going to get expelled. You know what I mean? So then, now it's just you and this kid that you know bullies you. And then him and his dad teaching him his ways, and your dad teaching you his ways. And now they're outside, you know? And maybe your dad tries to have a heart-to-heart with the other dad, because both two dads of kids. And so he says to him, he's like, hey, look, can you... It was 1969. And then the bully dad goes, is this motherfucker all right? It felt crazy. Because we knew. And we didn't know this exact thing would happen, but we knew we didn't feel good, and we knew we didn't feel good for months. You know what I mean? Before there was ever a debate. When we just knew it was going to be an election, we didn't feel good. That should tell everyone something. Not feeling good about an election that isn't even going to happen for another year, because we knew who the contenders were early on, right? Some people tried to run the Republican Party and they got washed, right? But we knew it was going to be Trump, and we knew it was going to be Biden for a very long time, and we didn't feel good since last year. And no one took that to heart, Republican or Democrat. People did not feel good, right? You ever get cold feet a year before the wedding? Because if so, maybe you shouldn't do it, you know? Maybe they're not the one. We're not crazy, they're crazy. You understand that, right? Like, it's not us. It's not us at all. Because, you know, we have eyes and ears and we use them or whatever. And that's the other thing that really stuck out to me is that, you know, no one really talks about Trump's performance because of Biden's, but Trump didn't do that well. There was a lot of like open lying to the point where where do you do in that situation? Like, everyone was kind of trashing the moderators for not doing some live fact checking in the moment. Sure, but what do you do when somebody lies that much, and how they lied, right? Because this is the thing. We found out last night that the tactics work. Trump lies fast. He talks so fast that when you hear the lie, you're like, but he didn't stutter, so it sounded kind of true. Like, I know it's not right because I was there. Because that's the other thing. He'll be lying about stuff that we were here. Like, we all remember him being president. We were here. So don't tell me it was different. I was then. And Biden, I'm assuming, is trying to tell the truth. He's saying something. But we found it that, like, you know, a fast lie beats an unintelligible truth. It does. Even in your personal lives, it does. Let's say you out with friends, right? Out with friends, and then let's say, you know, you've been bad.
You've been terrible even. You did a little cheating, right? And then you get caught. And now they're holding the cell phone in front of you and they're like, who is this, right? And then you say, who is it? How am I supposed to know everybody that's in my phone? Do you know everybody that's in your phone? That's crazy. People got contacts in their phone all the time they don't remember. Sometimes I go through my phone and I look at my contacts and I'm like, who are these people? Who are any of these people? It's a lie that almost sounds kind of fairly true. Like, do you remember every contact in your phone all the time? No. Or let's say you were out and somebody tried to get you to be bad. They tried to get you. Try to get you to do some cheating. And you were like, no, I don't want to cheat. No, I love them. Get away from me, right? But later, let's say later, unbeknownst to you, one of your friends thinking they're doing you a favor or maybe playing around or playing too much, right? They hand your phone to that person and that person puts their number in your phone, right? So now when your partner is holding the phone up to you, who is this in your phone? What's this number? And you try to tell the truth and you go, I said, because before, in 1969, no, because what do we do now? What's the plan? You know what I mean? What's the plan? Are we just gonna move on like nothing happened? Or are we gonna just hope for the best? What's really the plan? Because we're acting as if there aren't other people that can run. And we're acting that way because of the circular thinking. Because look, legacy media, sometimes I trash them. People in the DNC, sometimes I trash them. But the thing that they weren't wrong about is the reasoning that lets you land where you were before. It's not lazy. It's not out of not caring. It's out of not having a belief and knowing your options. That's what happens. And it happened to both parties, by the way, right? It happened in both scenarios where there were people in the national conventions of these parties not really sure where to go from here. And so you go with what worked last time, even if it's not going to work this time, you know? And I think it's tough. It's tough when you have something like that, right? Something where unequivocally we can all look at it and be like, yes, the man is old and maybe it wasn't his night, but this looks very bad and it does not inspire confidence in us. It doesn't inspire confidence in the people that we want to vote for this man, if nothing else, so the other man can't win, or because we really believe in the policies and the actions of this man, right? It doesn't help. And then you have people who are those could-be contenders, right? Because there's a conspiracy theory that I'd like to believe. And I'll share it with you, but I have no evidence for what I'm saying. There's a conspiracy that they wanted this debate. People in the DNC want this debate to be before the convention so that if he didn't perform well, there'd be time to rally behind someone else and replace him. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it looks like a setup. It looked like... looks like a setup if I ever seen one. Like, you know? Because the idea that he was at Camp David prepping for this debate for a week and that they actually made him prep, because he was hoarse. Why is this man hoarse? It's because they had him really talking like he was going to be out there dunking on Trump instead of just giving him a week-long nap. Let that man rest. Y'all worked him so hard he showed up with a cold. Set him up to fail, right? Because who else could it be, you know? Some people say Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's a tough one, though, because then, right after the debate, Gavin Newsom goes up there and does a full-on Ron DeSantis. Because remember when Ron DeSantis was running against Trump, he just didn't want to say Trump's name yet. He was like, I'm not running yet or whatever. And then it finally got time for them to run and he announced. And then he had a little bit of momentum, but then he had to go toe-to-toe with Trump and he didn't know how to do it. So he got aired out in front of everybody, right? I think Gavin Newsom had similar ideas. He was like, look, I'm going to support the president this time. I'm going to be in everybody's good graces. I'll run in 2028, right? But if there's ever a time, it's now. And it doesn't help when he goes on TV right after the debate and tries to negate everything that we just saw. Because it makes me trust him less. You know what I mean? When they're asking him, how do you feel about his performance? I mean, he's like, oh, come on, everyone has an off night. That's happened to everybody. I've been alive for a while. That has not happened to me. You know? Or you get Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen. You know what I like about Gretchen Whitmer? Gretchen Whitmer would be good because Gretchen Whitmer, they already tried to kidnap her. So They already tried to kidnap her, so that already right there is like that's a die of January 6th right there. So she has some experience, like when they come, you know what I mean?
Joined by my co-host, fellow stand-up comedian Logan Nielsen. Logan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It does seem like we are held captive right now in someone's grandma's house.
Yeah, if you see the video, yeah, it does. Yeah, specifically a grandma hostage taker is what we have.
Yeah, it looks like we're being kept well fed and entertained with stories. I can't tell if the stories of the torture or the reprieve from the torture, but we know a lot about harmonica playing from the 1920s. A lot about someone named Thurston.
Yep. What soda pop used to cost in the 60s. We know that now.
Also a lot of glass doors, so this is probably one of the most escapable prisons I've ever been in.
Yeah, that's true. This just slides right open. That's not.
Yeah.
No, this is it's strange because the camera's pretty far away if you're watching the video, and the futon we're on. The only way to really sit comfortably was for us to slump back like this.
This futon is so uncomfortable. You can tell no one's ever had sex on it.
Or too many people have had sex on it.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I feel like this one is even the way I'm sitting right now, this is just regular sitting with regular legs that are just both the feet touching the ground and the ass touching the back of the futon.
Yeah.
And I'm so deeply uncomfortable right now that there's no way someone had pleasurable intercourse on this day.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep having no way of feeling and looking comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, this is an Airbnb, so neither one of us will have to deal with this situation much longer. But
yeah, this is the second one. This is not the one I was in last week. This one is better. So I know we're not giving it a great review.
It already looks better.
It looks better.
They have a blender.
They do. They have a blender, but they don't have a coffee maker, which is an issue for me. But it's all right. I've been doing instant coffee, and I made it work. But I just feel like that's one of the things to put. They have that in shitty hotels, have coffee makers.
Which I don't get, because if you're in a really bad hotel, why would you want to be awake for it? I'm just saying. It's
fair.
It's weird that they give you coffee so you can stay awake and realize what a terrible hotel motel you're in.
If you go to sleep, then you realize how bad the bed is and that it needs to be cleaned.
Not if you're fully asleep.
Yeah.
If you're unconscious, you're It's not until you wake up that you're like, oh wait, my life is not.
Do you remember we were on the road not too long ago, and I just picked up the covers, and you could see the light go through the covers, and you could see how nasty like the inside of the quilt was?
Yeah. So, okay, how's the best way to explain this?
So I feel weird being way closer than you, but I think I'm more comfortable sitting like this. Is that weirder?
It's only weirder because from here you look like you're doing a TikTok about me talking.
I think I'm out. Yeah, I'm reacting to you, and I set my shot out of focus because I'm out of focus. Just something like this. This is just not great when you're a big guy to be like, yeah, I want to just lean into the shot gut first is what I really want. And it doesn't help too that the lighting is making me look like, I don't know, the wall. Look at that. There's no change.
Yeah, you do look like Wall.
Hopefully I do some color correction on this. Anyway, sorry, not to be too visual, but that took some doing to set up, and we're both so warm.
So,
But yeah, sorry, the thing you were setting up.
Oh, I don't even remember what that is.
The blanket thing, whatever.
Oh, no, just the blanket. So we were on the road, and Logan lifted up his sheet.
Just the quilt. Yeah, it was like the top quilt.
And wow, the light that went through it revealed what's the best way to describe the guts of the quilt?
Yeah, the innards.
Yeah.
The
So
meat.
all of the quilt intestines were fully loose.
Quilt testins? I know you hate when I try for a pun, but I felt like that's the closest I was going to get. Quilt testins.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, because it was like I guess like the feathers in it. I don't know if it was like a down blanket, but it had like the feathers in it. But you could see like where the stuffing, how little of it was left. Excuse me, how little of it was left, and how orange it was.
Oh yeah, it was like deep orange to where I thought it was.
And the blanket was not orange. The blanket was white.
I thought it was washed blood. It was so orange.
Yeah, it looked weird.
Yeah,
it was a strange.
And that's one of those things where anytime something is well lived in, it's not going to be great.
It's a nice way to put it. Well lived in.
It like anytime it's been used a lot, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be. I'm sure it used to be so thick you couldn't see through it with fluffy amounts of feather that felt like a cloud laying on your chest. And by the time we stayed there, years after this hotel had been opened,
Right.
It felt like instead of sleeping on a cloud, it felt like an angel fell out of heaven, but the actual impact of them hitting pavement is what the quilt felt like. It just felt like,
Right.
you know.
Lucifer's blanket.
I mean, it wasn't hot. It was just
Well, but I mean, when he
deeply
first
uncomfortable.
fell.
From
Is
okay,
what I was saying.
gotcha.
The OG fallen angel, the original.
Yeah, we also might be having heat stroke.
Oh, I am not doubting that at all.
You could probably tell, even listening to the recording, that we're both deeply uncomfortable, and that's probably I can't think of a thing that is more likely to be happening right now than me being a bit overheated, pretty tired, and maybe blurred vision.
Yeah. It's like I feel bad that this is what I've been talking about all week. Not necessarily on the podcast, but like just when I've done to people when I've done sets and stuff, but it's so fucking hot. And I mean, I know it's like not just in New York, the world, because the UK set their records. I can't remember if we talked about that last episode, but it's like this is a heat wave for the planet. And I'm staying in places that don't really have AC. This one does, but it's really just the window unit in the bedroom.
I wonder if it's a heat
I chose
wave
wrong
for the places that are like known to be cold. So if there's people right now in places that are usually cold and they're like, I only had to wear one jacket. It is burning up out here.
I mean, that's kind of how it is. Like
in what, Alaska?
Sometimes. I mean, in the Midwest, hell, like Iowa, Minnesota, like.
I guess I never count.
Not so much in the summer, but
yeah, I never really count the Midwest because in my mind, it's like meant to be hot sometimes there.
True.
I'm talking about places that are always cold.
Well, in the Midwest too is like a muggy hot too. We get humid too. So when it gets hot, like I'm sure. I mean, hell, Louisiana has to be the same. It probably gets muggy as hell down there, right?
The heat stroke in Louisiana is pretty funny because I mean, we could cut all that early stuff out and just get right to this in the episode. The heat stroke in Louisiana is very funny to watch because it's like some people, there's no difference.
Why do some people write in and call me a monster and not you?
That's
what I don't understand. You just said watching heat stroke is funny, and people write in and be like, "Logan's a fucking monster." I'm like, I've never laughed at heat stroke.
I mean, you did when I said it.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I'm just saying there are some
but
people.
I'm a bystander. Still, I'm still a witness, not the doer of the crime.
There are some people that you could talk to where you're like, dang, you had a full stroke in front of me and I didn't notice. Like just the way that you talk and how you carry yourself is already a little slurred, you know?
I did your show on Wednesday, and I know you were at a different show, and I walked up there. Our friend Rob was there. He said I got up on stage and turned around, and just in that time, I was sweating. So first off, I just turned around and was sweat. And then at one point, I tried to say I currently live in the Midwest, and what came out was I live Midwest.
Yeah.
Is all I
Yeah.
said. I said I live Midwest.
But you see, your heat stroke is noticeable because of how you talk normally. But when you get someone who's like,
like a Cajun accent.
yeah, when you get somebody with some drawl, that sounds like heat stroke.
No matter when. No matter when
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's
that.
how. Like if you get
It's
someone,
December and you're like, are you tired? Did you?
yeah, if you get someone that's like, you know what the boys over there was saying, man. You know with them boys, you know over there with them boys.
Yeah.
You know there with them boys. It's hot out here with the bunch with the boys. Oh, you done been before with the boys.
The boys.
Yeah.
Yo, man, I got about that.
I need some water and go to the bayou.
Wow.
And then before you know it, they're like slumped over, and you're like, "Hey, is he okay?" Like I've watched heat stroke happen in front of me to other people,
Yeah.
and not known the signs right away. Like I had to learn them when I was pretty young, and then
Are you having heat stroke or are you just Southern?
yeah, 100%, man. Like I think that I think that sadly right now in this moment in life, I'm putting together how much a few accents and dialects out there sound like heat stroke.
Yeah. Name the other ones. Go ahead. Take our show there. Let's get a new fan base. Let's go and become edgelords.
No, I just mean like I think that there are people that I grew up around, especially people in like more of the rural area that had a lot of that French.
Oh,
slang,
yeah.
Would have the drawl to pull off some
Oh, yeah,
really
yeah.
like slow talking that you can't quite understand.
Yeah.
So it's one thing when someone's speaking a different language and they're speaking so fast that even if I spoke that language, I'd need subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very different when someone's speaking slowly and you're still like, oh no,
I'm still lost.
I don't know what is being said at all.
Yeah.
Especially when it's directions. I've been in the car with people where we get a little bit lost and maybe we're in Ball or something like that, and you know,
And Ball is that a town?
Ball, Louisiana, yeah.
Okay.
And so they're just parts of Louisiana where if you get lost and you
That's
ask
where you
someone
live
for
now?
directions, they will get you more lost because you don't understand them.
And
at
they're probably
all.
using like local references. When you see the blank, then you.
They'll not only will they use
so
local
fucking hot.
references, but they'll also be like they'll tell you a colloquialism you've never heard before.
Oh, I love that. When you
So,
encounter that
like-
in the wild, a new phrase you've never heard.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, you take a stone's throw this far, and then you could just take a left, and then just spitting distance after that. And you're like, these are all.
You just give one.
These are all like bodily function things that I don't know how that means for a car.
You see this, then you just do a little turtle shuffle to the left.
yeah.
That's
No.
interesting.
No, it's pretty bad. In lieu of us doing like Scare B&B last episode,
Right.
I just remembered there were a couple of things that we had previously like not really touched on specifically when we did some of those old review episodes.
Oh, okay.
And there's just a couple of ones I remembered from some restaurants that like were spillover from, remember that episode we did?
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay. And it just made me laugh because we ordered Seamless before we started recording everything because neither one of us had eaten.
Yeah, we're like, let's get hot and full.
Yeah, hot and full is a great
That'll
recipe
be good.
for
That'd be
energy.
good for the show. Let's get hot and full, and let's really lean back.
Yeah.
Let's really get comfy, sit back with a full tum-tum.
It would be wild if there's just 30 minutes of this episode where neither one of us are saying anything because we've quickly fallen asleep.
Yeah, or
And then
we
you-
or
and
we
then
are
you-
having heat stroke and are only understanding each other.
Honestly, if I was having heat stroke right now, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. Like, does it come all at once or what's...
I've seen it happen playing football.
I mean, I've seen it happen
No, I
to
know.
other people, but
It
I
is
guess,
weird 'cause
what does
sometimes-
it feel like?
Well, see, the weird one, I can't remember if I've talked about it on the show before. We'll get back to these restaurants, but I can't remember if we talked about it on the show, but when I saw my friend get heat stroke during a football practice, and he stuck with it for a while, and like he says he does not remember like the latter half of the practice really, or like once we got to like the real big conditioning stuff at the end. And he was going hard to the point to where we were doing like up downs, and he kept going, and they blew the whistle and we stopped, and he did like 3 more, and we were all like, "Hey, Tom, you can quit." And he's just like, ugh, ugh. And he was just like his body had taken over, but his mind was no longer there until we went to like have our final like, breakdown meeting, and he runs up and just falls over. And then he tried to get his pads off, and no one noticed, but he got his pads off, and then they just got stuck. So he was just laying on the ground with his shoulder pads over his head. And I had to give I think I've definitely talked about this on the show, but then I had to give the on deck speech that night, which is especially like cycles through the seniors and juniors, and you give like a little like speech, like a fucking let's go get him or whatever. And I was slurring, and my vision was blurred. So I think I was having heat stroke too. And I had a speech prepared, and it was all gone. And I just went there. I'm like, look at this football, and the team because we're playing, and we need, and let's so let's go. And then I said like fuck a few times, and so I had to run a fence and back too while having heat stroke. Because if you swear, you got to run a fence and back.
Was your coach... I know we've also touched on this. We're going to get to the restaurants.
Yeah,
in a
sorry.
second. But was your coach fit?
Yeah, they were all pretty fit mostly.
Like, in my opinion, you can't coach football unless you're fit.
Unless you do
There's
it, too.
nothing like
Yeah.
a out of shape guy telling me to run.
Yeah, no,
that
they
makes me angrier.
they
It's
were all
like,
pretty
you
fit.
do it with me then.
Right,
You
yeah.
need it.
Yeah, you go.
You like I'm out of shape from just being young and not knowing how to be in shape.
Right.
You actually are teetering into some health problems.
They were all in pretty good shape, and that was my biggest thing too. Is it wasn't until years later, actually, until I started because I teach with a lot of them now. Mm-hmm. When I sub at that school, so like most of my coaches are all still there, and I teach with them, and I kind of realize how not old they are. And so I realized that they were all like fucking 25 when I was in high school, which makes me angry now retroactively to be like, I cared so much what these fucking 25-year-olds thought. And now there's no person's opinion I value less than a 25-year-old.
Yeah. What is it like now that because the thing with decades is that teens to 20s feels like a huge gap.
Yes.
And 20s to 30s also feels like a big gap.
Absolutely.
But 30s to 40s and 40s to 50s feels like you're all just adults now.
Yeah.
So now that you're teaching with them, how do you perceive that relationship of like, does it feel like time has shrunk between the two of you?
Like, what do you mean time has shrunk between us?
So if someone's 15 and then someone's 25, I can see a 15-year-old very much trying to impress a 25-year-old.
They look way older than you and feel just way more worldly.
Yeah,
than you.
that's what I'm saying. But now, if you're 35 and they're 45, does it feel like there's almost no time between the two of you
Kind of,
now?
yeah. We all feel. I think it's also too because they all, at least if they haven't seen me do stand up, and some of them have, but a lot of them know of my career and living in Chicago and stuff. So I think they also. Not that it's like necessarily a respect thing, but they are aware that like I'm doing shit they've never done. You know what I mean? So I think there's a little more of like they're actually interested in my life, and because when you're in high school and you are in a small town in Iowa, you're not that interesting to talk to. You haven't done anything,
Gotcha.
You're a kid in a small town in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, yeah, I feel much more. I think it's also too, not that I don't care what they think. I respect all of them, and I still think they're all good guys. I just have a way different relationship with them now, where it's like now I'm like, oh, I'm a guy they want to talk to now. It's not just me trying to impress them. I'm also like, oh, a guy they like knowing. Most of them. Mm-hmm. So
no, that makes sense. Because I'm just thinking about that. How if you knew someone when you were 18 and they were 28, that feels like worlds apart. But then if you're 48 and they're 58, it's like, all right, one of y'all get better prices at movie theaters. That's about it.
Right, yeah.
As far as like life differences.
No, for sure. For sure. And I guess it's more too. It's not even so much that like when I think back, I'm like, oh, why did I care what they thought? It's like, well, they were my coaches and my teachers. You want them to like you. But it's more, I'm like, oh, I wish I had my view of them that I have now, which I'm like, oh, they're just a guy. Like, yeah, I had to impress him and do stuff for him, but it's also like...
Yeah, I go back and forth on that because here's the thing. When you look at an accomplished person or a person in a position of authority or any of that stuff, when you look at all of them as just a dude, right?
Right.
That's more realistic and it's helpful for perspective, but what it robs you of a little bit is like, if something is special to you and you want that thing and then you want to do it better than the person that you look up to, they can't just be another guy, if that makes sense. They kind of have to have this little like air around them.
Well, and I have that. There were teachers who were older than them. Those were like the teachers who were like whoa, those guys are so fucking smart. And like those are the ones I still look at as like the geniuses I knew. And these guys are all smart. It sounds like I'm really bashing the people who are my coaches, and I'm not. I respect all of them and I like them all a lot. But I think I was trying so hard to be like a kid they like, especially because too, like my older brother was like, they fucking loved him. He was such an amazing student and a really great athlete and stuff too. And I was fine in both categories, So it's like, I'm like, I just want to be liked. And I was more doing that rather than like pursuing stuff because I wanted to be good at it, or, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by it.
Gotcha.
Where it's like, and then that's an ice cream truck going by again. That's 2 episodes in a row that we've had an ice cream truck going right by.
This neighborhood love ice cream.
This neighborhood does love ice cream.
This neighborhood, they got, it's sad.
I hear it everywhere I go in Brooklyn.
There's
I'm
so
hearing
much ice cream in Brooklyn. Nobody really can run for the ice cream truck. Like if you miss them, you're just gonna have to get them tomorrow.
I mean, it sounds like they go slow. So, because I hear them in just the one block for a long time.
Yeah, I remember one time the ice cream.
What
truck,
did we just talk about for a long time? Was I rambling about my coaches?
Yeah.
God, I'm in my 30s. What is happening?
So one time, and we're gonna get to the restaurants, I promise. One time,
Oh, I hope we don't.
when I was in Louisiana, I was like a teenager, and this is when I would do cross country. My mom gave me a key, so when I got dropped off from school and from practice, I could just go in the house. Because it was when I was like old enough that she didn't need to take me to the library after school every day.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, man, oof. I remember I got dropped off at home. I went inside and was playing with Rocky or something, and then the ice cream truck for the neighborhood broke down in front of my house.
Oh, shit.
But they just never turned the music off. And so they just were camped out trying to get like someone to bring a tire out and everything.
Yeah.
And selling ice cream the whole time. So for them, it's just business. But for me, it's like 2.5 hours of the same ice cream truck music. And you know what's crazy? So I didn't have any noise canceling anything, and so all I could do was loud. Like I could just play music.
All I could do was loud.
All I could do was loud to combat it. I couldn't noise cancel. I couldn't Bose it. I didn't have that type of money, and so I could just get loud so that I didn't have to hear it.
All I could do is loud. It pleased me. I live Midwest. All I could do was loud.
I'm just saying that loud does not, it still penetrated the volume.
Right.
Which is crazy because I was blaring stuff. Because after the first 20 minutes, I'm like, man, I hope that, because they had clearly broken down. Like you saw the guy,
right?
His wheel was in a weird position, and he was like not quite out of the street.
I wonder if there's something like scientific to the music of those things. Like if they're at a perfect frequency that they can cut through anything.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it should be illegal because it's so infuriating. I was getting so angry. And the first 20 minutes, I was tolerating it because I was like, that guy's probably having a hard day. Like, I was actually trying to be empathetic. Like, that dude's probably having a hard day and everything. And then after, like, the first 40 minutes, I was like, he's at least got to turn the music off, right? Like, I can't be the only one. Like, I even looked out the window at my neighbor's house to see if anybody else was looking out the window to see if anybody else was, like, stressed about
Surely
this.
the neighborhood is infuriated right now.
I was like, surely these people don't love ice cream so much that they need the music while they lick the cone.
It's not special. Then I can just go to a store.
I was getting
know?
furious. And then after the first hour, I was like, I need to do something. And so I had little earbuds, but they were terrible. They were like the cheap earbuds.
Well, and even just because how old were you?
Like 13, 14.
Yeah, see, at that age too, like earbud technology was not great because even the early like good earbuds hurt your head.
Yeah, they really like stretched that. You be walking around with some loose ears.
Yeah, they were not built for ear shape
Yeah.
at all. They didn't realize it.
They were just
it was
excited that music came through the wires that they were like, leave it.
Yeah, cram these circles into your ears.
And so that didn't work because even though I was listening to music so much, it was hurting my ears. I could still hear the like, hello. And so then I was like doing a hum on top of the music. So that I did that. So I was just like, the entire time the music was playing. And it was still cutting through. This is like the telltale heart of ice cream.
Yeah, you truly lost your mind there.
And then I was like,
with earbuds and blaring music, screaming to yourself.
dude, it was like an hour though.
I know. The best would be then if the music stopped and then everyone outside is just hearing, "Ah!" And they're like, oh shit, turn it back on.
Nah. At an hour and a half, I take out the earbud because now my head just hurts. I have like a headache from how loud the music was.
Well, just humming
and then
too. It's gonna hurt.
I turn the TV on. I turn it on full volume. So like, you know those levels that's ridiculous to let a TV go to, like that, like those volumes that go to 80.
Yeah.
I'm at like 77, and I'm just blaring the, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. That Spider-Man just going. But then that's not even enough consistent audio to be cutting out.
They say that a hero can save.
We're not even there yet. We're not even to like the credits.
Oh, is that just the soundtrack? It's the movie, yeah.
This is the movie, and so even the slow parts.
Yeah, careful that you don't unplug that, please.
Oh yeah, no, it's just even the slow parts are just straight up blaring. Now the ice cream music seems louder because the movie is so loud. So I'm like, anytime I can hear it I'm like, did he turn up the volume as well?
I just love too the ice cream music in the background and then Green Goblin laughing over it. Like, there fucking is again. There's the y'all talking shit.
But look, wait. This thing. So you see how it started again?
It dips. Yeah, if you can't hear it, sorry, the music stopped for a second because we're hearing the truck go back again.
Yeah. Now, what they did in Louisiana in my neighborhood was they're like, and they do it again and again and again, and then it stopped, and then you would hear, hello.
That's what I was wondering because you said that and I understood that you meant like that's how it played in your thing, but that sounds genuinely alarming.
No, it's horrible. It's so bad, and so that's also happening.
That sounds like Pennywise
for 2.5 hours.
Hello, do.
I've never in my life wanted to brandish a gun.
Wow,
more than when I hit the 2-hour mark. Of that ice cream music, because I was just like, guys, this is now everyone in the neighborhood that's gonna buy ice cream has bought ice cream. You're not weighing anybody else down,
right?
Like you're not leaning on them hard enough for them to come out of their house and be like anything.
Right.
Anything to make the music stop. Everybody that's bought ice cream is going to buy ice cream.
Anything to make the music
bro,
stop.
just turn it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd their business do though? Did a lot of people swarm the
No,
truck?
They
Like
got swarmed at first, but then this is my problem. Everyone that swarms you lives here. You were
Fair.
already driving around the neighborhood. You were going to get them anyway.
Oh, that meant there were some kids a few blocks away who were really excited for 2 hours for the truck to get to their house.
Yeah, I guess so.
They just stood there
I
waiting.
guess they just sat there like,
Just outside.
any minute now.
It's got to be coming.
Yeah, my mom doesn't like me walking to the
Yeah.
edge of the street,
So I got to stay here and wait. It's so hot out here.
yeah.
I got the money crumpled up in my hand, and I just want them to. Why won't it come?
Have you ever seen the fire hydrant get open? Like,
Not get opened. I've seen it open, but yeah.
oh no. I've watched it
never-
this year especially. They're popping hydrants hard.
Oh, I've been seeing a lot of them already going, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen like the process.
yeah. Oof. There was one guy who popped it open. I was about to close it, and a guy ran up and he was like, "Hey, just give me a minute."
Go ahead.
And then took like a full shower
Just
with
let
the
me-
hydrant. Like people had stopped playing in it, so the guy was about to close it, and he was like, "Hey, let me do my thing." And
just let me cool off a bit. There we go.
man, that
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, it has been a hot couple weeks out here. I'm sure it is just everywhere, but you get that, I don't know, that New York sweat's a different sweat. I will say that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, I spent this whole time thinking I left Louisiana.
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's like almost as bad.
Like I've been in like LA when it's hot, but it's that, I think it's just that desert hot. It's a little more dry. There's an ocean nearby. I mean, I guess there's an ocean nearby here too, but it hates us. I don't know. It must just be the tall ass buildings and all the concrete. It must just be that. It just it turns into one big hot rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even imagine what I'll do if this continues.
I have like every time I get back from doing something, I get home and I have to peel off a wet shirt and then just, I don't know, just try anything.
It's like, because you can't move. You can't move from Earth. So
You can't move from
We're
Earth.
just-
No.